Padam Sharanam Bhava Bhitanam Shatakopamanishwaram Srirangeshi Yadinduna Karunaya Sosyati Prekshidam Kyada Sri Narasimha Gari Jamanit Padam Bujen Dindiram Dandik Chandayadi Persubhakanir Bandam Buddha Graceram Srimat Rangashadari Yogin Padim Shri Yonitum Samsriyem Srimat Sri Ranga Prithvishwara Shadavi Punasam Mindrena Dishtam Yastyatmanam Nasame Naragari Sadajit Yoginedu Prasadat Pragya Sri Rangagari Prabhavayati Padeke Praptalakshmi Sammastanam Seve Yatindram Sagalaguna Nidim Virakvitshadarim Sri Ranganada Shadagopa Yadindra Dishtam Lakshmi Samsarjit Karunaika Patram Sri Rangavira Shadobagridyam Vedanta Deshi Indramaham Prabhadye Srimat Rangashatari Samevara Laptahamandatbayam Srimat Veera Raguttuhatya Sarajit Padaravinda Srimat Vedapatam Sadesike Dehe Karunya Vikshaspadam Seve Ranga Durina Sasanavasam Narayanam Yoginam Vedanta Desike Dindra Kadakshlabda Trayanda Saramanavadyam Gunam Buddhagriham Narayanadya Durya Kripa Pishiktam Sri Ranganadi Shekramashayamaga Srimate Sri Lakshmi Samadhyapadaga Sevaka Shivanchadagova Sri Narayana Itindra Mahadeshikaya Namaga Srimate Shivanchadagova Sri Ranganatha Itindra Mahadeshikaya Namaga. How you guys are doing? Doing good? All right. Well, today, at least a couple of days, today is a great day. What is today? Anybody?
Thirumashi Arva's birthday.
Yeah, Thirumashi Arva's birthday. Taimagam, right? Taimagam, Thirumashi Arva's birthday. What are the things that Thirumashi Arvar, what are the works that?
Tiruchanda Virutham and Non-Mugam.
Fantastic. Tiruchanda Virutham and Non-Mugam Tiruvandadi. And then, there was an episode in Thirumashi Arvar's life, that is, Thirumashi Arvar was actually sitting and trying to, stitch his own cloth, and Lord Shiva and Parvati came. Do you know where that incident happened? It's supposed to have happened in Tiruvallikeni. In Tiruvallikeni Dividesam, Thirumashi Alvar has his own Sanadi. And that is where it used to be. That Sanadi was a little bit further away, it was told. And that is the place where Thirumashi Alvar used to sit there, and he would just stitch his own cloth, and he was so humble, he doesn't want to go and ask anybody. He would do everything all by himself. And Lord Shiva came, and then Shiva was asking whether you need anything. And what did Thirumashi Alvar said for that? Doesn't want anything, right? He doesn't want anything, right? But Shiva was very compelling. Shiva said, no, you need to ask something. You need to ask something. And what did he ask finally?
Let the thread into the eye of the needle.
The eye of the needle. He said, take this thread and put this one eye of the needle. And Lord Shiva was very, very upset. He said, I am here, Mahadeva, I am here. I'm ready to give you everything. And you asked me this silly thing. And then he opened his third eye. And Thirumashi Alvar was told that he opened an eye on his thumb. And that was more fierce and put more fire than Lord Shiva could ever imagine. And that actually subdued Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva understood whom he is talking with. He is none other than Lord Sudarsana's. Lord Sudarsana's incarnation, Thirumashi Alvar. So Thirumashi Alvar was a great saint, and he was, his Tirnakshatram is today. And today, actually, I want to talk about another great saint. I'm sure you would have known this story, but however many times we repeat his story, it always refreshes our mind because of his humility, what he brought to our sampradayam, and he is supposed to be the vision of our sampradayam. He is supposed to be the eyes of our sampradayam. That is Swami KoorathazwAn. KoorathazwAn is the one that we want to talk today. And I have a little presentation I want to share with you. Give me a second. Let me share that presentation with you. Okay. This is Swami KoorathazwAn in a very unique form, because normally KoorathazwAn you would see is always in a seated posture, right? He was always in a seated posture, and he will always have a Jnana Mudra and a Sri Kocham in his hand. That is how KoorathazwAn is. Most of the temples have the Vigraham of KoorathazwAn, because KoorathazwAn is very, very interested in fulfilling Swami Ramanuja's one of the instructions of Swami Ramanuja. And what is that? Spread Sri Bhashyam. Spread Sri Bhashyam. And so he was always tell his Sishyas Sri Bhashyam, how great Sri Bhashyam is. So you would always see in a Upadesha pose, he was always be in a preaching pose, KoorathazwAn, because he was very interested in spreading the message of Swami Ramanuja through Sri Bhashyam. But here you see this KoorathazwAn in a standing posture, and also he is in a folded hands. This one is happened to be in Kanchipuram. It's in Kanchipuram. Why he is standing in Kanchipuram? Why he is in a posture with the Namaskara Mudra? We will talk about that a little bit later. But let's go through Swami KoorathazwAn's life itself first. So he was born in a village. I don't know how many people have been to Kooram before. Have you guys been to Kooram before? Anybody?
No.
No? It's a small, beautiful village right outside Kanchipuram. Okay, you need to take a car or something like that to drive down there. It's a very nice place. You will see on both sides paddy fields and everything. KoorathazwAn actually belongs to a family of landlords. They had a lot of land, but KoorathazwAn was, after he got married at very young age, with the woman, with the girl and woman known as, her name is Andalammai, a very pious lady, and they were living a peaceful life in Kooram, and they were also very, very deeply devoted to Lord Varadaraja. Lord Varadaraja was where? In Kanchipuram. So from Kanchipuram to Kooram, it will take maximum an hour. If you just take the car and just drive down, you will go to Kooram, and it's a very small village. Even now it's a very small village, but it's a very beautiful, very serene, very nice place to go and see KoorathazwAn in his Avatara Sthalam. Avatara Sthalam is place where he took birth, right? Avatara Sthalam. So Kooram is a very small village near Kanchipuram. Whenever you go to India, if you happen to go to Kanchipuram, you should take a try, go a little bit early to Kanchipuram, like in the morning time, and then around 9:30, 10 o'clock, you should leave Kanchipuram. You will be in Kooram by 10:45 or 11 o'clock, and you can have a darshan. Otherwise, if you go too late, the temple will close, because there are not many people who are visiting the temple. But it's a very beautiful village, very beautiful, very serene village. And wherever, these days we have people, especially during this pandemic time, there are a lot of people who don't have food, and we don't have, they lost their job and they don't know what to do. What do? We go and try to help those people, right? We go and take some food from our place, whatever is possible. It's not that we are all having a lot of money, but if possible, we all go there with something, either rice or some kind of beans or something like that. We try to donate to these people, so that it's a little bit of sharing whatever we have, right? KoorathazwAn started this long back. He lived like 1,000 years back, right? So KoorathazwAn started this concept of what we call today Ramanuja Kudam. Ramanuja Kudam is where food is served. Food is served without asking any question. Wherever, in every Divya Desam, you see a place called Ramanuja Kudam, and Ramanuja Kudam is where you just, people serve food for people. I go from one temple to another temple, right? I go from one Divya Desam to another Divya Desam. I don't know anybody in the other Divya Desam. How do I, who will take care of my food? These Ramanuja Kudams will supposed to take care of food for all the Yatrikas. Even temples will give prasadam. That was the reason for temples to give prasadam. But almost all the time, people will go from Dividesam to Dividesam by staying in this Ramanuja Kudam. Though he talked, he named this thing as Ramanuja Kudam, but if you go a little bit, before KoorathazwAn, there was, great Alvar who started this idea of giving food to people. All the people have been fed. Which Alvar was that? Who was that?
Tirumangayarvar.
Yeah.
Tirumangayarvar.
You guys know that one. Tirumangayarvar. Tirumangayarvar was the one who always encouraged people to give food to poor people, right? So he was doing that, and he would do. KoorathazwAn will do something like that near Kanchipuram. He will go to Kanchipuram when there is a huge festival, any big festival. He will feed thousands and hundreds of people, whoever comes for the Utsavam, he will feed them, and then they will all be, have, at least they don't need to worry about the food. They will go and have a very happy darshan of Perumal, the sevai of Perumal, and once they are done, they will come back and they will have food, they will rest in that place, and then the next day Utsavam, they will keep going, and it was keep on. And KoorathazwAn was very, very pious, and his wife was very pious. They were completely devoted to the service of everybody, whichever Sri Vaishnavas, whichever people who are coming to Kanchipuram Varadaraja for the Utsavams or for day-to-day activities, everything, because he was also a landlord, he had a lot of money and then wealth, and then we didn't take those money, and then he didn't enjoy it for himself. He started giving it to society and the community, and especially for the poor people. And he was doing that for a while. And in Kanchipuram, around the same time, there were great saints and then people who lived there. And one such person is, you guys all know this person. His name is Tirukachinambigal. Tirukachinambigal was the Sishya of whom? Anybody? Was a disciple of?
Yamunacharya.
Ramanuja.
No, he was a disciple of Yamunacharya. Yamunacharya, absolutely. He was a disciple of Yamunacharya, and he always, every Divya Desam you go, he will always have, Tirukachinambigal always have a fan on his hand, because he was very interested doing service to Perumal always. So when everybody leaves the temple, including the Archakas, Lord Varadaraja would tell Tirukachinambigal, you stay here and take the fan. When me and Perundevi Tayar are together, just fan us from the behind. And he would do that one. Tirukachinambigal would do that one every day for Perumal and Tayar, and Perumal and Tayar will sleep. After that, he will, maybe after a couple of hours, he will just slowly, without disturbing them, he will go, and then he will also go home. But it is always a routine that Tirukachinambigal will do a nice Kainkariam for Perumal by putting the fan. That is why even today he is known by that fan. It is called it is called Suruti. That Suruti is always there in his hand. It is the fan. It is the Alavattam that he is always have it on his hand. And that is how he was doing Kainkariam to every day to Lord Varadaraja and Perundevi Tayar. And one night they were just, Perumal and Tayar, they will just talking to each other. They want to show the greatness of KoorathazwAn. So that day, it was little around 11 o'clock, 11:30 in the night, and Tirukachinambigal doing this fan Kaingariam, Alavatta Kaingariam, and suddenly there was a big door was closing. A big door was closing. And there was in ancient days, when the doors, especially even today, if you go to India, all the temples have lot of bells on them, right? That is just to give a sign. When it is open, almost everybody can listen that temple door is open. When they close it also, everybody would know, well, now the temple is closed. In those days, at least, there was not much of noise pollution, right? So Perundevi Tayar heard this huge noise. There was a huge sound that there was a door was closing. And Perundevi Tayar asked Perumal, as if she doesn't know things. She knows everything. She is as powerful as Perumal himself. They are together. Our object, our ultimate aim of doing Kainkariam, right? So they know everything in this whole universe. And Tayar was asking, as if she doesn't know, Bhagavan, what is this sound? I hear a huge sound here as if there's a door is closing. That is not our temple door, because our temple door has been closed, for a while. Archakas all went home, and only our own Tirukachinambigal is right here. So where is this sound coming from? And then Bhagavan said, oh, Tayar Mahalakshmi, that's a very, very beautiful question that you asked. This is none other than our another child, KoorathazwAn. KoorathazwAn was doing all kinds of kainkariam to all the Bhagavatas. He was doing extreme seva to all these homeless people, whoever comes here, and doing, having our seva at Kanchipuram. He is feeding them. He is serving them. He just finished all the service and everything, and it is his Tirumaligai or his house door has been closed. That is the voice, that is the sound that we are hearing. And Mahalakshmi looked at Perumal. Wow, is he such a rich person? He has so much wealth that he could do from morning to evening, so much seva. Oh, this is amazing, Perumal. This is amazing. And then they were just having some other talk, and Tirukachinambigal, hearing this beautiful conversation, and he was just doing the fan kaingaryam, Malavatta kaingaryam, and then Bhagavan and Tayar, they slept, and then he slowly moved, and then Tirukachinambigal came home, and he was thinking about what a beautiful conversation. You know what? KoorathazwAn should know this one, that Perumal and Tayar, who is the, who has entire world, entire universe under their control, they are the ones talking about KoorathazwAn. We should tell KoorathazwAn, and I'm sure KoorathazwAn will be very happy to know that Perumal and Tayar spoke about him. And Tirukachinambigal went, and this is Tirukachinambigal in Tiruvayindirapuram. And Tirukachinambigal went and then told KoorathazwAn, there was an interesting conversation yesterday. Everybody knows in Kanchipuram that Tirukachinambigal having this personal one-on-one conversation with Perumal and Tayar, and he is doing this personal kaingaryam to Devadirajan and Perundevi Tayar. They all know that. So KoorathazwAn said, Adiyen, what was the conversation? Is that something that I should know? And Tirukachinambigal said, yes, KoorathazwAn, it is about you. It is about you. It is about Adiyen. I am so insignificant. How can Bhagavan and Tayar can talk about me? Nambigal, please tell me, what is that conversation about? And then he said, well, there was a huge loud noise of the door was closing. And what happened? Tayar said, what was that huge sound? And Perumal said, from morning to evening, that KoorathazwAn has done lot of philanthropy work. He was just giving money and prasadam to all these people, poor people, whoever comes and then takes prasadam there. They come and eat, and then when everything was done, he's just closing. And you know what Pirandevi Tayar said? Pirandevi Tayar said, oh wow, it is amazing that he has so much wealth that he could do from morning to evening. And they were so happy that you are doing the kainkaryam. Immediately, he stopped for a second. KoorathazwAn stopped for a second, and he said, is that what they said about me? They didn't say that I am a dasa or the servant of Swami Ramanuja. They said I am a wealthy person. I am not worthy of Swami Ramanuja's servant. Oh, this is the title that Tayar Mahalakshmi, who is the embodiment of wealth, who has every wealth at us, Sriman Mandakadakshalabdai, who is doing a very slight vision on this devatas, and they are all getting the title of Brahma, Indra, Gangadhara. All these titles are coming on to them by the Mandakadakshalabda, Brahmendra, Gangadhara. All these devatas are getting their titles because of this Mahalakshmi. A very slight vision, looking at them. And that Tayar thought, I am not Ramanujadasa, I am a wealthy person. What is this wealth is all about? Nothing. You know what? Andalamai, He called his wife. He said, Andalamai, it is time for us to leave all those things. Let us go back, go to Varadaraja and Perendevi Tayar. We prostrated them and then tell them that we are not wealthy people. We are not a philanthropy people. We are just servants of Swami Ramanuja. And that is the title we would like to have. And you know what is the best thing? Perumal and Tayar are telling us to become that. Instead of just preaching all the time, we should become what we say and we should follow what we say. And you know what? We should just leave all this wealth to all these people. Everyone, whoever wants to, it is our relatives or it is whoever wants to take this wealth, let them all take all the land and everything we own. We should just go to Srirangam right away. And KoorathazwAn just left without anything in his hand, and he just went to Devadirajan Sanadi and prostrated to Devadirajan and Perendevi Tayar Sanadi, and then took their permission, and then they just left Andalamai, and KoorathazwAn left for Srirangam all by themselves. And on the way to Srirangam, Andalamai was, it was a little bit late in the night. In those days, how do you go from Srirangam to Kanchipuram to Srirangam? You had to go by walk. There is no other way. You had to go by walk. So KoorathazwAn was just there and he was seeing, he was slowly going to Srirangam, and Andalamai said on the way, Swami, I have a question. Andalamai, what is the question? We have to go fast. Let us go. And Swami, no. Is there, I heard in the forest area, there are a lot of thieves and there's a lot of robberies going on. Is that true, Swami? And KoorathazwAn said, Amma, Andalamai, why do you ask that question? There is nothing we have at this point. You have me, I have you, and I have my Anushtanam, my education, and above all, the Kainkaryam that we are going to do, Swami Ramanuja, and to Perumal and Tayar. That is what I have, and you have your Dharmam. That is what you have, Amma. We don't have anything else. So we don't need to worry about anything, because even if you have some money, then we need to be worried. Even if some thieves come after us, what do we need to say? Hey guys, I don't have anything, you can check on us. And then Andalamai said, no, Swami, every night before you go to sleep, I always have a golden cup that I'll give you some milk at the end of the day. That gold cup, I have it with me, because not that I want to have gold cup, but my Swami, you should have that milk in the gold cup, Swami. That is why I brought it. And then KoorathazwAn said, you are really, really not getting this whole point. What Tayar Mahalakshmi said about us is this all about this gold and money. That is exactly they were talking. Give me that cup. And then he just threw that cup in the forest. Now, Andalamai, you and me don't need to worry about anything, because now Lord Ranganatha will take care of us. Lord Rama, Swami Ramanuja will take care of us. Let us go. And then they started moving to Srirangam, and they went to Swami Ramanuja. Ramanuja was there in Srirangam at that time. They went and prostrated to Swami Ramanuja and said, you are our sole refuge. We don't have anything, and you have to, you are our refuge, and we surrender to you, Swami Ramanuja. And Ramanuja thought, okay, he's the best of the best Sishya I got. Swami Ramanuja had so many illustrious acharyas as his own acharyas, so many illustrious acharyas as his own Sishyas, and KoorathazwAn was the foremost one that he became the Sishya. But KoorathazwAn's Vaibhavam is so huge. Let us continue with more of KoorathazwAn. So he met with Ramanuja, and then you could see this is from Kuram, that is his Avatara Sthalam, how he is having the Jnana Mudra or the Chin Mudra, always interested in preaching Swami Ramanuja's philosophy of Visishtadvaita through Sri Bhashyam. So he met with Ramanuja, and both the couple, they were living in Srirangam. And while living in Srirangam, what happened? One day there was a king in Srirangam. We need to understand about this king. This king is a very kind of a very peculiar guy. I'm not going to use the word unique, because unique means it's a good connotation, right? He's a very peculiar person, this king, because in our India, in our Bharatam, there was not a one king who was a fanatic, who imposed their religion on anybody else. This is the only king. He is known as the second Kulotunga Sora. He is the second Kulotunga Sora, and he is a very adamant Saivite king. There were Saivite kings in India. There were Vaishnavite kings in India, like Krishnadevaraya is a Vaishnavite king. So we had both Saivite and Vaishnavite kings ruling the country for a long time. However, they were never imposed their religion onto anybody. They patronized both Saivism and Vaishnavism as if they are, both of them are, it is the people who make those judgments. So they patronize both the religions. But this king, this second Kulotunga Sora, was a very adamant Saivite fanatic king, and he was imposing everybody to tell that Shiva is the supreme God, and he wants people to sign that paper. And who is his target? The main target for him is Swami Ramanuja himself. So he called all his soldiers, go to Srirangam, because the Srirangam is part of Sora kingdom, right? Srirangam is part of Cholamandalam. So he was a king there. So he called all his soldiers, go and talk to Ramanuja, ask him to sign this paper that Shiva is the supreme Lord. That is my way of worshipping. That is the Saivism is the supreme way of worship, is the right path. Ask him to sign these papers and get that paper back to me, because I want to show everybody that even Ramanuja accepted Shiva is the supreme God. And all the soldiers came. Ramanuja simply refused. No, எற்றைக்கும் ஏழு பிறவிக்கும் முந்தனோடு உற்றோமேயாவோம் உனக்கே நாம செய்வோம். We don't worship any other deity, not because we have hatred for them, but because we have so much love for our own God. We don't go and say that the next door father and mother are great, because when we have our own father and mother who are supreme for us. So for us, Lord Narayana and Mahalakshmi are the supreme. So we don't go and say anything bad about any other deity. If you want to follow your own deity, that is up to you. But being born as a Sri Vaishnava, this is our kartavyam. This is what our duty. This is what our Acharya said. Our Arage Singer said, always Srimad Arage Singer said, why do we worship Sriman Narayana? Why not another God, another demigod? And Srimad Arage Singer used to say this beautifully, Villivalam Arage Singer, because we worship Narayana, because Swami Ramanuja said it, because Swami Vedanta Deshika said it, because of this, and Ramanuja said it because he said it, because of Nammalvar said it. So because of all these Purvacharyas said that Ramanuja is supreme deity. And how do they know that Narayana is the supreme deity? They studied Vedas very well. They studied all the scriptures very well. And this is the essence of all the Vedas, that Lord Narayana is the supreme deity. And that is the reason why we worship Lord Narayana. So Ramanuja said, I refuse to sign this. So they went back, soldiers went back. Then the king was so mad. He said, go and arrest him, bring him here. I am going to torture him so that he can sign this paper. The message immediately went all the way to Ramanuja's ashramam, and he was just there. And at that time, Ramanuja himself was around 60 years old, and he said, you know what? This is not a good time. This is not a good place. You know what, Ramanuja? You have to go. You have to go to some other place where this king's people cannot come and capture you. And Swami KoorathazwAn said, myself will go to Swami, to go to the king, and I will talk to the king. And then KoorathazwAn was advised by Ramanuja's Acharya, that is Periyanambigal. Periyanambigal said, KoorathazwAn, don't go by yourself. I am going to come with you. So Periyanambigal and KoorathazwAn, they went with all the soldiers. Ramanuja overnight escaped that from Srirangam, and he was just going towards the west, and he was going all the way to west, and he went to the northwest, where he reached Melkot, where in Tirunarayanapuram he lived for a while. In the meantime, KoorathazwAn went to the king's place, and KoorathazwAn, he said, well, according to Vedas, according to Shastras, it is Lord Sriman Narayana, Antarbhakishcha Tat Sarvam Yapya Narayanastadaga. It is the Narayana who is there inside, outside, everywhere. So Narayana is the supreme deity. So we do not worship anybody else. And then the Saivite king, Kulothunga Sola, second Kulothunga Sola, he was very adamant, he was very fanatical, and he said, with that, you know what, I am going to, take your eyes and torture these people. And then just that torture with, Periyanambigal being very, very elderly person at that age, he couldn't take that torture. He passed away immediately. KoorathazwAn, he said, you know what, you are going to take my eyes, I am not going to let you to do that one. I myself take my eyes. And he took the sword and he just, took the eyesight and said, because after seeing you, the Chola king, I don't want to see anybody else. You are such a papi, you are such a sinner that you made Periyanambigal to die. You made Swami Ramanuja to escape, and he is just going, he is running for his life. And I don't want to see this world anymore. And he took his own vision. And by that, he gave a vision to the Sri Vaishnavism itself. So KoorathazwAn was slowly brought back to his place. In Srirangam, he was just brought back. And by that time, Ramanuja escaped from Srirangam, and he went to Melkot, and KoorathazwAn was all by himself, and then with his wife, and he thought, okay, this is not a good place for us to stay. We should go to slowly. This Chola king is not a good, the king is so adharmic. The king is not a righteous king. Where there is not a righteous king, you don't live in that place. You start walking away that place. And KoorathazwAn slowly walking towards to Madurai, towards the Madurai, to Tirumalar. But before he went, he thought, you know what, probably I should go and have darshan of Lord Ranganatha. And then he started going to Lord Ranganatha's Sanadi. And he went to Lord Ranganatha's Sanadi. The soldiers, all the Chola king soldiers, they said, if anyone comes who are affiliated to Swami Ramanuja, they should never be allowed inside here at the temple. So they were guarding the temple, and they said, who are you? I said, my name is Srivatsa Chinna Mishra. I am KoorathazwAn, I am Kooradinathan, and I want to have darshan. Are you affiliated to Ramanuja? He said, of course, I am Ramanuja Dasa. I am servant of Ramanuja Dasa. Well, sir, Swami, I just want to tell you, our king told us that you cannot enter. If you say that you have some connection with Ramanuja, you cannot enter. So you need to go back. And KoorathazwAn said, really? But you know what, sir? It's okay. We will not let the king know. You can go and have darshan of Perumal. Go, don't worry. Don't tell that you are connected to Ramanuja. Immediately, KoorathazwAn stood for a second, and he told the security guards and everybody, you know what? If I have been ripped off the title of Ramanujadasa, I do not want even Perumal Sevai. I do not want to see Lord Ranganatha. If somebody told me that I should not be called as Ramanujadasa, I don't want that seva. And he just walked away, to and slowly, and that shows how much he was, even for Perumal, as Harigesingar said, even for us Perumal, and everything is because Swami Ramanuja told us. It is because Swami Nammalvar told us. It is because Swami Deshika told us. All of our Purvacharyas told us that here is the supreme reality, and that is what we believe in. Without that connection, we don't even want even Bhagavan. What we need is that what we are entitled is the Ramanuja Dasa title. That is what we should aspire to have. That is what we should be interested, not even Bhagavan's Kainkaryam. So KoorathazwAn and Andalamai, they started walking towards Madurai, and they stayed in Tirumalarunjolai. He saved in, he saved Sri Vaishnava Darshanam, and then he went to Tirumalarunjolai. Tirumalarunjolai is also known as Alagar Koil. Alagar Koil is a beautiful, beautiful place. Few weeks back, we saw that Utsavam, remember, in Nupura Gangai. We remember that. This is again another a beautiful, serene place near Madurai. If you go there, you should try to spend at least, a day or something like that, because morning to evening, it's just a beautiful place. You can go and see the Nupura Gangai itself, and there is a waterfalls. So it is just a beautiful temple. You should go and spend that time. It is called Kallalagar temple. This Alagar temple, he stayed in there for almost 10 to 12 years. And after that, when the Chora king, second Kulothunga Chora, when he died, his son is known as a blemishless king. He is known as Akalanga Chora. With this name, there was a courtyard around Srirangam, right? We know that one. Akalanga Choran is the one who is blemishless. Kalanga means blemish, flaw. One who doesn't have any blemish, known as Akalanga Chora. This Akalanga Chora he told his father, you thought you can completely destroy Sri Vaishnavism. I will tell you, you have two things. Until those two things are there, you can never ever destroy Sri Vaishnavism. And this Chora said, what are those two things? Do you know that? One is Ramayanam. Another one is Thiruvaimozhi. When you have Ramayanam and Thiruvaimozhi, you can never ever destroy Sri Vaishnavism Appa. And then he passed away, that Kulothunga, second Kulothunga Chora, who is a cruel, fanatical king. He passed away and he took over the kingdom, and he said, well, this place, Chora kingdom, is for every religion. You, whatever religion that you want to practice, it's up to you. We are not going to tell you that you got to follow this religion, that religion. And he himself became a Sri Vaishnava, this Akalanga Chora, and he built this courtyard around Srirangam. And after almost 12 years later, Ramanuja came back. And then he saw KoorathazwAn without his vision, without his he couldn't see anything, he was blind. He saw that one, he cried, he gave a tight hug to KoorathazwAn. KoorathazwAn, you should ask Bhagavan that you should, get the vision back. KoorathazwAn said, well, normally we don't ask for anything, Swami, but you know what? It is your instruction. If Swami Ramanuja tells me something, even if I don't like it, I will do it, because it is ordained by Swami Ramanuja. I am just a servant of Ramanuja. And that is why, if you remember, in the very first photo, you see Bhagavan, KoorathazwAn is standing posture here. That standing posture is because he prayed to Lord Varadaraja. That is why he is known as what Swami Vedanta Deshika says, Kachidanil Kankodukkum Perumal Vandar. Kachidanil Kankodukkum Perumal Vandar. Who is that? The one who gave the vision to KoorathazwAn was celebrated later by Swami Vedanta Deshika. So only here in Kanchipuram, you will see Swami KoorathazwAn in a standing posture, in a praying posture. He wouldn't pray to anybody else other than Devadiraja. That is why you see KoorathazwAn in a standing posture. And he asked for the vision. And the best thing is, Lord Varadaraja said, you know what? Of course, you ask for your vision. I give you that vision. Do you need anything else, KoorathazwAn? Who? Devadiraja was asking KoorathazwAn. Immediately he said, yes, there was a minister. His name is called Naluran. This minister was the main spy who told the king, the Chora king, that Ramanuja has to be, you have to torture Ramanuja, you have to do this, you have to do that. He is the main instrument for, me to lose my eyesight. I heard that he is also lost his eyesight. You know what, Devadiraja? You give me vision. You should also give vision to that Naluran. Can you give the vision to Naluran? Look at that. Look at that. Who will say something like that? The one who tortured them. He is telling Bhagavan to forgive them and give vision back to Naluran, who is instrumental, who is the key person behind for Koorathazhwan to, to lose his own eyesight. And Bhagavan said, you know what, Koorathazhwan? If this is what you want, let Naluran also get his vision. So Kachidanil Kangodukkum Perumal Vandar, not only Koorathazhwan, because of Koorathazhwan's recommendation, even Naluran, who did a very unspeakable sin, he was the instrument became for Koorathazhwan and to lose his eyesight. Even he got his eyesight because Koorathazhwan was such a magnanimous, such a graceful Acharya. He let even his worst enemy to gain the eyesight back. And Ramanuja and everybody, they all came back to Srirangam and they were living in Srirangam. And in Srirangam, every day, morning and evening, the Perumal will have, Thiruvaradhanam and everything. So Koorathazhwan, everybody will go there and they will take Perumal Prasadam, Tirtham, and they will come back their home and do the Thiruvaradhanam at home. But in those days, the main way of, getting food, either you need to go and work somewhere, but great acharyas, they don't want to work and do anything because that is all making, once you start working, what do you do? Okay, I'm going to make money and I'm going to build my own house and I'm going to, save some money for my retirement and I got to do this, and then keep on having more and more and more. And what do we think? Only we think about money all the times. Whereas these acharyas, they renounced everything. So they don't care about their own livelihood. What do? Even though such great scholars they were all, they started begging every day. Morning, they do Unchavriddhi. Unchavriddhi is go around everywhere, and then the morning, around 11, 10 o'clock or something like that, they will go and they will not even see where they are going. They will just go through the street. If somebody is there, they will come out of their home and they will put a little bit of rice and whatever they have, and they will put that one, and then they will, they will prostrate, do namaskarams to those mahans, and then they will take their blessings, and then they will just go inside. That is how they were doing their livelihood. And the another acharya, great acharya, who was doing this, we all know that Swami Vedanta Deshika was like, though he could ask Perendevi Tayar to pour Kanakavarsham, he asked Perendevi Tayar to pour golden coins, showering golden coins for this brahmachari to get married. He doesn't want to ask anything for himself to Perendevi Tayar, because he says, you know what, if you want to keep me poor, it is you to take care of me. So you will always take care of me. So Vedanta Deshika, I'm not deviating from that story. I just want to tell one more incident of Vedanta Deshika, and we'll come back to Koorathazhwan. So Vedanta Deshika, one day he was going around and all his Sishyas thought, you know what, even if we give money to Swami, he's not taking money. What do? We need to put some gold coins inside this rice that we are giving it to him during the Unchavriddhi time. That way, when the money comes to him, at least he will take care of his livelihood, and then his wife will take care of livelihood. So they mix some gold coins in the rice. Swami Vedanta Deshika was coming in the morning and he was just in ecstasy doing some stotra padam about Lord Varadaraja, and he was coming slowly to the streets, and then he will not ask for anything, but it is the responsibility of the people, whoever has money and rice, they will come and pour the rice. And when they pour the rice, he wouldn't even see how much they pour with what they did. He will just pray to Lord Ranganatha and Lord Varadaraja that these people should be blessed, and he will just move on to the next house. And when he went home, his wife poured the rice so that she could make prasadam for that day, and she saw glittering gold coins. And that lady, she never saw in her life there was the gold. She never seen gold in her life. She came immediately running to Swami, there's something glittering there. I don't know what it is. Can you please come and see? And Swami came, he immediately understood, Swami Vedanta Deshika immediately understood what is it. And he said, Amma, this is a big worm. This is a worm. This is like a, this will, at some point, this will become this worm will become a little bit bigger and bigger. It will become like a snake. And what it will do is slowly it will come and, say it will become a little bit of ornament on your hand. And then it will go slowly and it will go all the way up to the neck also. So he described this entire gold as if it is a worm and a snake, and it will just come here to bite you. Then the Vedanta Deshika's Swamini wife, she thought, really? So what should I do? Go to the next door or somewhere on the backyard, and just with the darbai, with the small grass, get rid of all these things. Just take only the rice and cook the rice, Amma. This is not good for us. So that is the vairagyam of Swami Vedanta Deshika, right? And KoorathazwAn, because his, Deshika was following people like Swami KoorathazwAn. KoorathazwAn was there in Srirangam, and he would every day morning, he will do the very first thing, Abhigamanam, and then he will wait for some time. He will, during the Upadana time, the second column, he will go back and then do the Unchavriddhi, and then the third portion of the day, it's known as Ijja column, right? The third column is the Ijja, and he would do the come home and he would do the Thiruvaradhanam. And this was his routine. So there's around 9:30 or 10 o'clock, he will go around for 30 minutes, go around the streets of Srirangam. He will go for Unchavriddhi. Whoever gives rice or whatever they give, they will just bring back, and Andalamai will cook the food for them, and then they will do the Ijja Aradhanam. Swami KoorathazwAn will do the Ijja Aradhanam, offer to Perumal. This was a routine. And one day, KoorathazwAn was there, and he was looking into some very, very interesting grantham he was seeing, and he didn't see the time passed. And Andalamai, she saw her husband completely immersed in this grantham, in Bhagavat Dhyanam, in Bhagavat Gunanubhavam, in full ecstasy of Bhagavan. So she doesn't want to disturb him either. So she just kept quiet. What happened? Around 12 o'clock, he just forgot, oh, this is a time, I have to do Thiruvaradhanam. Let me go and take my Madhyaniya Snanam. He went and took his Madhyaniya Snanam. In the afternoon Snanam, he took the shower, and then he came and put Thiruman and Sishwaranam, everything, and he started doing Aradhanam. When you do the Aradhanam, what do? First one is known as Mantrasanam. You do the Mantrasanam, you invite Perumal. The next one is Snanasanam. You do a bath for Perumal. Give a nice bath for Perumal, right? He is like a little small baby. You give a bath. And then what do? Once the bathing ceremony is over, what do? You give him an Alankaram. The third asanam is Alankarasanam. When the third asanam, Alankarasanam, is done, he called Andalamai. It is the fourth asanam, which is to give food for Perumal. To give food for Perumal. Andalamai, is the food ready, Amma? Bhojyasanam, is it ready? What can Andalamai say? She said, she's speechless, and she said, Swami, today there was no Unchavriddhi. You are so deeply into the Bhagavad Gunanubhavam. You are deeply into reading Bhagavan's Grantham. I didn't disturb you. So since there was no Unchavriddhi today, there is no prasadam at home, Swami. We need to think. An extremely scholarly person like KoorathazwAn, who has done several granthams, and you can go online and you can see Panchastavam, the 5 works of Swami KoorathazwAn, all the time quoted by all our acharyas, great acharyas, quoted those works. That KoorathazwAn looked at Andalamai and said, oh, there is no food, it's even better. So the time that I would spend normally to take food is even reduced. That means I have more time to read more about Bhagavan. You know what? Today is an unannounced Ekadashi day. That is okay, Amma. This is the day, and let me offer. Perumal said, give me anything. It could be flower, it could be a leaf, it could be water. Patram, Pushpam, Phalam, Doyam, anything is okay. So that's what Gita Charyan said. That's what Parthasarathi said. So I'm going to offer water to him. And he offered water to Salagrama Perumal, Tirtham to Perumal. And then he also took Tirtham. He gave Tirtham to Andalamai, his wife. And then he went back to his old place where he was looking into the books. At around the same time, Lord Ranganatha is having the Uchikalam, the afternoon time. They will do prasadam and everything offered to Ranganatha. And that time, the temple bells were ringing, and Andalamai could hear the temple bells and the Vadya Gosham, everything. For a second, Andalamai thought, Ranganatha, your own child, KoorathazwAn, doesn't have anything to eat. Why? Why, Ranganatha? And Andalamai, when she said that, she didn't even say that one. She was just thinking about, and uncontrollably she was crying, not because she doesn't have any food to eat, but her dear husband, who is a great Acharya, he doesn't have a Bhagavata, he doesn't have anything to eat. And Andalamai was just, prayerful, and she just, praying to Lord Ranganatha. Lord Ranganatha, in the meantime, in the Periyaperumal Sanadi, he just said, you know what? Today, after this Uchigalam is done, take all the prasadams. Take all the prasadams to my own child, KoorathazwAn's home. Take it to KoorathazwAn's home. I want you to take it with all the temple honors. Should go to KoorathazwAn's home. And when Bhagavan himself told through the Archakas, all the Paricharakas, they were waiting for the puja to be over. When the Uchikalam is done, they took all the prasadam with the Vadya Gosham. When Bhagavan's prasadam comes, it's like Bhagavan himself is coming, right? So they all went there, and then the KoorathazwAn could not believe that why these people are coming. But of course, it is Bhagavat prasadam. He prostrated, did the Sashtanga pranamams to, and both Andalamai and KoorathazwAn, they did pranamams to, namaskarams to the Kaingarya Baras and all the prasadams. They kept all the prasadams in the house, and they said, this is Bhagavan. Lord Ranganatha told us that we need to take all the prasadams to you, to your home, and we are leaving it here. And they left. KoorathazwAn couldn't believe, and he looked into Andalamai and he asked, Andalamai, did you think anything bad that we don't have food? Did you think? And Andalamai said, Swami, it is not for me, but when you didn't have any food, when I heard all the bells and all the Vadya Goshams, I thought for a second, Lord Ranganatha is your own child. KoorathazwAn doesn't have anything to eat. Why you are testing us? That's all I was thinking, Swami. And KoorathazwAn looked at her. Andalamai, you are not understanding the meaning of Sharanagati. What is the meaning of the Sharanagati? We say that shloka every day. Nijabaram, Nirbharam. There is nothing supreme than that. And what is the last line, Andalamai, we say? Nirbhayosmi. We don't have any fear, whether here in this world or whether it is in any other world. We do not have a fear, Amma. Why? Because we surrender to the Supreme Lord. Andalamai, we got married when? Maybe 30 years back. Who took care of me 20 years for when I was young? Who took care of me? Did you take care of me? No. In my previous birth, who took care of me? Did you take care of me? I don't know. So our sambandham started 20 years, 30 years back, Amma. Anal, my sambandham with Bhagavan is eternal. He is always going to take care of him. What did he say in Bhagavad Gita? Yogakshemam vahamyaham. I will take care of their welfare. That is a promise given by Lord Parthasarathi. That is the promise given by Gitacharyan. You do not need to worry about anything, Amma. Why do you need to bother about this? And Andalamai said, I'm going to stop the story. I'm going to ask you this question. She said, something which is very important. But I want to stop the story, and I want to ask you guys: is it okay? Is it right for Andalami to pray to Perumal, or even think that his own child KoorathazwAn didn't have any food to eat, whereas there is something, a huge festival in going on at the temple? Why Perumal you are testing? Is that right for her to think? What do you guys think? Anybody?
It is right.
Oh.
It is right.
Because she's
It is right.
of Perumal.
Look at it in two perspectives, because from Andalamai's perspective, she was worried that her husband didn't have any food, but looking from KoorathazwAn's perspective, Perumal was enough for him.
Good. Anybody else?
So I think that really Andalame, her intentions were good, but like KoorathazwAn said, she didn't understand the whole point of Sharanagati. And the only thing that she should be worried about is serving Perumal and surrendering to Perumal. That's the only thing she should be worried about. And she's and that's all she should be worried about. So there is no reason for her to be worried about her husband not eating food.
It's
You-
right because
Yeah, go ahead. Sriman, go ahead, Sriman.
it's right because she wants food. She wants Perumal to give food to another Bhagavata, not for herself. So it's right.
Absolutely. You know, we all talk about the Sri Vaishnavism is not a religion where you have only very strict rules and everything. You are constrained with something. It's a very practical way of doing things. So if Andalamai prayed for herself that I didn't eat any food, that's okay. And she didn't even think that here is the thing about KoorathazwAn, her own husband, but she thought here is a Bhagavata. Here is another Bhagavata who is not having any food from morning. Why don't, why do we need to test this one any further? And that was the reason that, Andalamai thought about it. Yes, it is, Sriman Aragesinger also said, you can pray to Bhagavan. You can pray to Bhagavan, ask for things. The things that you need to ask should not be for any selfish reasons. Nothing is for, I want to do this, or I want to become that, I want to do this. Not that way. Anything you do it for a public cause. Anything you do it for good intention, for another person, for another Bhagavata, that they need to. So the reason is more important than the action itself. And that is how Srimad Aragesinger mentioned in one of the Upanyasams that suppose I want to say, we want to build a temple for Lord Krishna, Lord Navanitha Krishna, we want to build a temple. How do we build a temple? And that is exactly in that context, Srimad Aragesinger said that you can pray to Perumal if the cause, the reason for that your prayer is valid. It is not for selfish reason, it's not self-centered, it is rather for a bigger cause than ourselves, our little day-to-day stuff. And that was the reason why Andalamai, when she prayed to Ranganatha sent the prasadam, and they were at that point, they were really old couple, and these prasadam themselves gave a reason for them to have two children. They got two children, twins, and both the children they were born on Anusha Nakshatram, Vaikasi Anusha Nakshatram, Parashara Bhattar's Nakshatram, and Bhattar's Parashara Bhattar and Vedavyasa Bhattar. Two kids born for KoorathazwAn. Of course, Parashara Bhattar, he didn't have any kids after him, and whereas Vedavyasa Bhattar, he had kids. Continue to, that parampara is still there, and Vedavyasa's son And his son is another great Acharya, who is the great grandchild of KoorathazwAn. Anybody knows his name? He wrote a beautiful commentary for Ramanuja's commentary, Sri Bhashyam. Anybody knows his name? Sudarshana Suri. His name is Sudarshana Suri. His other name is also known as Shrutaprakashika Bhattar. Shrutaprakashika is a commentary for Ramanuja's commentary. Ramanuja wrote a commentary for Vedavyasa's Brahma Sutram, and it is known as Sri Bhashyam, right? But the Sri Bhashyam itself is very difficult for us to understand. So it needs another commentary to explain few things on Sri Bhashyam, and that is known as Shruta Prakashika. Shruta Prakashika is a commentary on Sri Bhashyam, and the Shruta Prakashika Bhattar, when he actually, when he was very old, when after he written everything, around 1323, there was a Muslim invasion. There was a Mughals invaded South India. That was the first time they came to Srirangam. And when they came to Srirangam, Shruta Prakashika Bhattar he wants to protect this work, this Shruta Prakashika, and he gave that work to whom? Swami Vedanta Deshika. Vedanta Deshika took that Shruta Prakashika, and he took the children of Shruta Prakashika Bhattar, and he took them to with him to along with his own child Kumara Varadacharya. All of them escaped overnight from Srirangam. After taking care of Perumal and Srirangam, everything, they put a protection for Sriranga Ranganatha, and they sent Lord Ranganatha Utsavar to another place, and they don't want to go too much crowded. They don't want to go with Ranganatha. So they escaped separately, and they went to Mysore, and they went to Satyakalam, and that's where, for a while, Vedanta Deshika lived. So all these acharyas, they have shown us the kind of qualities that we need to follow in our lives. The things that, when KoorathazwAn said, well, when KoorathazwAn was told by the king's bodyguards that, yeah, you can go and have darshan. The only thing is, just don't mention that you are related to Ramanuja. Don't say that you are Ramanuja Dasa. If you do that one, you can go and have darshan of. Immediately KoorathazwAn said no to that. Right? So that is the kind of quality that we need to inculcate, that for us, everything is about our Acharya. Our Acharya is our of everything for us. He is the one who showed us everything. And that is why we strongly believe in Sharanagati, because our Acharya believed in that. And then they believed, because if just go successively, go all the way to Ramanuja, goes to Nammalvar, and it goes to Bhagavan himself. So he is the first Acharya, right? So our Guru Parampara says that we believe in Bhagavan because our great Acharya said so, that believe in Bhagavan Taya. So with that, we will conclude today's session. Any questions, anything that you want to share about Swami KoorathazwAn? I'm sure these stories you would have heard about it before, but any number of times we think about KoorathazwAn and talk about KoorathazwAn, it's always a good time. Raghavan, go ahead, Raghavan.
What does KoorathazwAn's Nakshatram have association to Anadhyayana Kalam?
Good job. That's a great question. KoorathazwAn's Nakshatram, when did we start the Anadhyayana Kalam?
Kartigal.
Tirumangayalvar Nakshatram. And we know the story behind that, right? Tirumangayalvar, when on his birthday, he went and asked Perumal that like during the Adhyayana Utsavam, in those days during the Adhyayana Utsavam, only Vedas were recited. Tamil Prabandhams were not recited in Tirumangayalvar's time. So Tirumangayalvar went and asked, I need this. Perumal said, I want to give you a gift on your birthday. And then Tirumangayalvar said, well, I will take this gift. The gift is for Adhyayana Utsavam. During the Adhyayana Utsavam, you need to listen to Nammalvar's Prabandhams. And for that, I will go to Alvar Tirunagari and bring Alvar all the way from Alvar Tirunagari, that Vikraham. I will transfer that Alvar Vikraham all the way to Srirangam, and after that you listen to Alvar's Prabandham. And that was the story. We all know that, right? That's how the Adhyayana Utsavam started. And during that time, when the Alvar was in transition, right? When the Alvar went to Tirumangai Alvar went to Alvar brought Alvar back to Srirangam, and the Utsavam is done. Again, he will take some time to take Alvar Vigraham back to Alvar Tirunagari. During that time, in Srirangam, there were not many Kaingirya Baras were there to do the Kaingiriam. And also, they want to have a uniform thing like Vedas. Vedas have Anadhyayana Kalam. There are certain days you cannot say Vedas, right? They want to give the same kind of status to Tamil Prabandhams. They decided not to recite for some time. Why it is again KoorathazwAn Nakshatram? Why not Tirumai Nakshatram? Why not Embars Nakshatram? That we don't know. Our Acharya said it is Taihastam, KoorathazwAn Nakshatram is the day that we start Tirupallande. So why it was exactly on that day, we all know why it started Anadhyayana Kalam in Kartigai. Why it was all going to start again in time in KoorathazwAn Nakshatram, we do not know. However, here is the caveat. The caveat is the Anadhyayana Kalam is not uniform across all the Divideshams. Okay, I'll tell you. Suppose in Kuram Utsavam starts when? 10 days before the Taigastam, right? That means every year through KoorathazwAn Nakshatram, there will not be Nalayira Divya Prabandha Seva Kalam. No, there will be a Seva Kalam. Similarly, Tirumaishi Alvar Nakshatram. Tirumaishi Alvar Nakshatram, they will not have any Seva Kalam, Nalayira Seva Kalam. No. Similarly, Embar Nakshatram. Will they not have any Tirunakshatra, Nalayira Seva Kalam for Embar Tirunakshatra? No. So the caveat is, temples have their own way of following things. Time to time they change in different temples. How the Adhyayana Kalam, Anadhyayana Kalam is over is totally different. Adhyayana Utsavam itself is totally different in Dividesam to Dividesam. It's not uniformly done across the board. For example, in Tirukudamai, Kumbakonam, when is the Adhyayana Utsavam starts? Anybody? It's not before Vaikunta Ekadashi, 10 days before Vaikunta Ekadashi. That is not how done. That is how done in every other temples, right? In Srirangam, every other temple, that is how done. In Tirukudamai, Sarangamani temple, the Adhyayana Utsavam always starts on 1st of Margazhi. Always it starts on first day of Margazhi. Dhanurmasam, first day is the Adhyayana Utsavam starts. After 21 days are done, it doesn't matter whether the Vaikunta Ekadashi came, Vaikunta Ekadashi didn't come. Like, next year, the Vaikunta Ekadashi is going to come when? It's going to come sometime in January 13th or January 12th or something like that, right? Next year, Vaikunta Ekadashi is going to be really far away. But it doesn't matter in Kumbakonam. Kumbakonam, Perumal starts exactly because every Dividesam has a unique way of doing things and they do it differently. So again, I don't have a clear-cut answer why this is how our acharyas are ordained us to do it. But I will ask some more people in Srirangam, see whether they have a real reason why it is KoorathazwAn Nakshatram, why it is not like, Tayil Magam, which is Tirumaishi Alvar Nakshatram, or Tai Punarvasu, which is Embars Nakshatram. Good question, Raghav. Any other question?
I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
So you said that when Ramanujacharya was set to go to prison with the Kulothangachoryan, wasn't KoorathazwAn dressed up as Ramanuja to act as Ramanuja and not give away?
Well, yeah, that's all. A story that's been mentioned. But we need to also remember that suppose KoorathazwAn was a Grihastha, he would never ever do anything like putting a kashayam on him just to even to do an act. Like even Ramanuja would not wear a white dhoti around him. They all did very quickly whatever they could do, but they would never change their ashrama dharmam just to even show that they did this. There are a lot of stories have been mentioned, but we need to take all those stories. Well, but whatever happened, the matter of fact is Kuratazhwan lost his eyesight, Periyanambigal died, Ramanuja escaped. Those are all absolutely true. There is no question about it. But how they did it, those things are not clear. And these are all done like 1,000 years back. And in our great Bharata country, in our nation, there is one problem, that we do not have a written history, because people think, oh, anything I write, it becomes my own self, admiration and things like that. So they were all humility personified. So even the small big things they did, they don't want to mention it to anybody. So the fact of the matter is, Kuratazhwan and Ramanuja and Periyanambigal, all of the great acharyas have given their life and their soul to our sampradayam. But the logistics of how they did, that's not clear. Guru Paramparas are saying differently in different things, and that is okay. That is okay. What we need to know is that these people, these acharyas, have shown us an absolute great sampradayam for us, and they are nothing but full of humility and sacrifice personified. Anything else? Okay, all right, then we'll just say it's 3:15. Kavitargya Simhaya Kalyana Gunasaline Srimate Venkadesaya Vedanta Gurave Namaha Vadidvipa Shirobanga Vanchana Navarakrama Shivan Venkadanathari Charam Vijayadam Bhuvigi Sri Ramanuja Dana Durandaragat Vanchadu Gobag Indrati Gadat Bhuvigi Keshava 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 Keshvaya Namaha.